Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. Today we're going to give our art purpose. We are going to make some usable art using our mixed media art journal supplies. Hi, I'm Creative Katie, Karen Virgil. Welcome. So I am working on these 4-inch wood rounds. I purchased these from Amazon and I will link something and you can go and check it out. First off, to prepare the wood, I am going to give it a coat of gesso. This is going to seal the wood and prepare it for the paint that I am going to be putting on it. Nothing special here. That's why I've sped this up. I'm simply brushing on a single coat of gesso. Sometimes, depending on the wood rounds you get, the wood might kind of lift up and it would benefit from a sanding. Mine did not require that. So I'm moving right into applying color. Now I am turning these wood rounds into coasters. So I don't want any texture, any physical texture, but I do want texture. I'm putting on a coat of Prussian blue here, and I'm just applying it with a makeup sponge. I'm not being too careful. If it has some pattern in it, if it's not perfect, that's just going to add to it. Here I'm dabbing in some Naples yellow. Now this first one is a bit of a learning curve. I'm figuring out what I want to do. I have an idea that I want a basic sea background. So I'm going aqua, navy blue, and Naples yellow. But I'm not exactly sure, so I'm figuring it out. I put on some bright aqua, a little bit of Naples yellow, a little bit more Prussian blue. I just want to make a dark, interesting base color. So I'm using the makeup sponge here, and then I think, okay, there could be other ways to get some visual texture on here. You can see it's kind of cloudy already. So I decided I'm going to do some smooshing using acrylic paint. This is just a piece of packaging, acetate packaging. I'm putting some quinacridone magenta on there, watering it down, and I'm just smooshing on it. It's very unpredictable, but it's giving my background a lot of interest. Now, every one of these coasters is going to be the same, but different. I'm going to basically follow the same process, but some are going to have more aqua, some are going to be darker, some might be lighter. That's kind of what I'm going for. I don't want them to be cookie cutter perfect images. So I'm drawing the smooshing in between and then deciding, oh, I need to add a little bit more. So you can layer up smooshing like you do with your inks and your dyes. You can add as little or as much. And as you can see, the background is starting to look very interesting. Now, if you are doing the same wood rounds and you were going to drill a hole in them and turn them into Christmas ornaments, you could put some physical texture on that. I'll point that out later down the road. So you kind of get two tutorials in one. Here I'm smooshing the bright aqua. Now, the bright aqua paint is a little more opaque. It covers more. And right about now, as I'm drying this, I'm thinking, well, do I want to apply two colors of paint with the smooshing? And I say, no, but I like the aqua. So instead, I grabbed my drywall mesh and my stencil brush, and I'm putting the bright aqua through this DIY stencil. And I'm liking that effect. It's giving a very small scale patterning. So I've got the smooshing patterning, and now I have the stenciling through the drywall mesh, drywall tape mesh. Then I want to add some script stamp with my black archival. Again, this is very subtle. You may not even be able to pick it up, but there is just that little bit of interest. I want to put in as much interest as I can into this. Then I grab this stencil. This is called Chicken Wire Reversed, and I'm grabbing the Naples yellow. This is kind of like a fisherman's net. I'm going for that look, but I don't want an all over pattern. I'm really liking how that yellow is just popping off that dark, interesting background. So now after doing the first one, I've figured out exactly what I like, where I'm going to go with this, and what I'm going to do with the next 5 of them. Now I'm not going to show you all of them, but I will, oh, before we get to that, I am edging the round with the Prussian blue on a makeup sponge. This is kind of clouding around to the front a little bit. I just don't want the wood edge. You can leave it the wood color if you prefer. I prefer this. So I'm going to show you a second one, the complete process. So first off, I'm just putting the Prussian blue on with a makeup sponge on top of the gessoed surface. I'm not looking for smooth or anything. In fact, the more I build in texture using the makeup sponge, the happier I am. It's easy value added. I want some darker areas, some lighter areas. What I don't want is completely the sameness, and that just reads very, very flat. Then I am coming in with the drywall mesh and the bright aqua paint. Now I could have done all the Prussian blue for all of them and then do a kind of assembly line, but I decided to do them one at a time because I want to embrace any differences. I don't want it to be so completely the same. When these coasters are on the table or in there, I want some variation to happen here. Some are going to have a little more aqua paint, some are going to have more of the pink smooshing. Even the order that you do them will change the overall effect. On the first one, I did the smooshing first and then the drywall tape stenciling. Here I've done it in opposite. Which do you like? Fun with it. Experiment. And decide, what works best for you. So again, I'm smooshing with acrylic paint that I'm just watering down. And then I'm drying it in between if I decide I'm going to apply more of the smooshing. If you don't like what turns out, you can give it a coat of Prussian blue on top of it, or go back and give it a coat of gesso, go back to square one and reapply. Nothing ventured, nothing gained, and nothing lost. Now, a lot of times I've made coasters, but I've used the iron-on decoupage technique with napkins. And I will link some of those videos in case you want to use a napkin to make a coaster. Slightly different process. Stamping with the script stamp, archival ink, and then stenciling with the chicken wire reversed. So everything we've done here on these wood rounds, you could have done on an art journal page background or on a canvas for a background. This is just fairly small scale. And again, I am not putting texture paste through this. If I was making this an ornament or if it was a canvas or an art journal page, I may have done the chicken wire reverse. I may have used a yellow stencil butter or modeling paste through it because I want that texture. I love texture, but for a coaster, you don't want to be able to have to put a hot cup of coffee and have it wobble because it has bumps. So now you can see all of my 6 are done. And I am grabbing my angle brush and I'm shading around the edge using the floating acrylic shading technique that I use all the time. If you're starting out, doing shading on a wood surface like this on the round is the easiest way to practice that skill. And I'm just showing the difference there between one that has that shading and one that doesn't. This is part of what I do when I'm finishing pages, when I'm finishing projects. It kind of frames it. It's just a look I really like. And again, here I'm just going to go through all 6 of them and shade all of them. Now, just FYI, the backs of the coasters, I'm going to put a backing, a cork backing on there. So I am not painting them or dealing with them in any way, shape, or form. And I'm not concerned if they get paint on them because you're not going to see it. So now I'm going to put my focal image on and I'm using this Sea Creatures stencil, again from the Crafters Workshop. Now with this one, I am putting it on with the stencil brush. And because it's a wider open space, it's not working so well. So I'm going to change that up. And there's my sand dollar. I live by the ocean and I really wanted the sand dollar motif as a coaster set. So, oh, this one's called Shells from the Crafters Workshop. So I'm positioning it. Now that sand dollar I can have completely on the coaster or a little bit off. And here I'm using a makeup sponge. Now I've got white acrylic paint in the makeup sponge, but I am not pressing right down because I don't want the paint to wick underneath. I want to get a fairly crisp stencil of the sand dollar. Now, if this was a Christmas ornament, I would use either a stencil butter from the Crafters Workshop or modeling paste for this. Here I'm putting a coat of white paint and then I am letting it dry a little bit and then adding another layer to get that level of opacity that I want. I'm trying not to lift up the stencil and reposition it to do that second coat because it's just never quite so perfect. And as you can see, all of these look definitely they're part of a set, but they are unique in of themselves. There's a little variations that are on each one. How much yellow I have, how much bright aqua I used, and even how opaque the sand dollar stenciling is. So the sand dollars were very, very white here. And I just wanted to knock that white back a little bit. So I am shading with my angle brush, this time not with black like I did on the outside of the circles, but I'm using Naples yellow, the same Naples yellow that I did that um, chicken wire reverse stenciling. This is kind of tying it all together. It's kind of taking away the starkness of the white. And I'm really liking how that worked. I could have also used gold, and that would have given it a little bit of bling. Then I line everything up and a good splatter of gold paint. This gold paint I have in a container. I thinned it down with water. Nothing fancy, it's just Liquitex Basic paint. I give it a shake or a stir before I splatter because it does seem to separate a little bit when it sits. And then I'm going to make sure those splatters completely dry before I move to the next step. And splatters tend to take a little bit of time to dry because you kind of got a glob of paint, you know, it's just a little bit more volume. So now I am stamping a word on them. So I'm just going with live, love, laugh. I have my wood stamps and I am using the makeup sponge with white acrylic paint in it. I'm using that kind of like a stamp pad. And then I just press the block in there. I wipe off if I have a little overage and then stamp. If I make a mistake here, I can take a baby wipe or a wet cloth and wipe it off because everything on that coaster right now is permanent. It's all acrylic paint and it's dry, so I'm not going to disturb it if I had to wipe this off. If a letter didn't stamp correctly or I got the alignment wrong. The secret to stamping is to not worry too much about it being perfect. I don't try to make it perfectly level or straight, and then I find I'm happier with it. I do clean off the letter stamps. I have a cloth off to the side and I'm wiping the paint off. You don't want to leave the acrylic paint on your stamp because it'll build up over time and your stamp will, usability will get jeopardized. So if you don't have a set of wood letter stamps, get them. I use them so much. I love it. So there I'm just cleaning off the letter stamps with the wet cloth with my Murphy's Oil soap sprayed on it. Now I am adding a bit of gold trim to each of the coasters. I'm covering up that navy a little bit. I'm not worried about getting full coverage, so it's going to be gold. And a little bit of that gold kind of wraps around the front and rims the top of the coaster. In a minute, I'm going to show you one that's not done to compare to, and you can see the difference. It's a really small detail, but I think it adds so much to it to rim it with gold here. And there you can see the difference, hopefully. But if you like it black or just navy or leave it, you want to leave it wood colored, go with it. This to me just really finishes it off. Now that when they are completely dry, I am putting them on a cookie, not a cookie sheet, but a wire rack to lift them off, and I am going to give them one or two coats of Polyvine heavy duty wood varnish. Now I like the one that's the satin finish, but you can get the dead flat as well. Both of those I got through Ninny's Napkins. And I give it one or two coats. Now that footage was lost, so you can see they're shiny, so they're completely dry. And then I'm going to put the cork adhesive on. These we purchase separately. And I just kind of eyeball it and put it on. Now you do have a little bit of play here, so you can lift it off like you do if you get it misaligned, and then just press it on when you have it in the correct place. Now the Polyvine is for heat, so if your cup is hot, it's not going to melt the varnish. I've used this for other sets of coasters and it works extremely well. It doesn't smell, easy cleanup, top notch in my books. And there we have the finished coasters. I will make sure that this dries for a couple days before I use it, just in case you just want the varnish to cure. So thank you so much. So how are you going to put your art to work. Is it going to be a coaster? Is it going to be a home decor item? Is it going to be a Christmas tree ornament? Until next time, go get creative.